throughout I kind of had like the week tryout period beforehand,
Right.
to kind of like try out the system and see how I fit in and if I could like meld with the guys or whatever. And that was I really pushed myself like past the limit. I was trying to do double, triple training. Everyone else was. I wanted to be like one of the only guys finishing the drills, and it took a lot out of me. Like I lost a lot of weight, but I felt like I was getting stronger and better shape, and I felt that as long as my morale remained high, and I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, like I'm going to TV kind of thing, I could keep pushing at this pace. And Bill was real cool to me. Never said like anything derogatory or whatever. You hear a lot of stories, but I just didn't believe it because Bill was super cool at that point. And then my first day back, Bill was like, "Oh, geez, good to see you." He says, "You got in even better shape. That's awesome."
Back from where? Where did you go?
Oh, because I had to go back to Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. So my trial period there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
that was sort of under like I didn't need a visa for that because it was a trial period, right?
Right.
But then going back legitimately under contract, I needed the visa. So a lot of time has already passed.
Okay.
So Bill's like, "Wow, you look fantastic. That's great. You're taking this seriously." He says, "I think you're going to do well here." I was like, "Oh, awesome." And, business as usual. I was just trying hard, like really pushing the pace, pushing my limits. I wanted to show that I wanted to make the best of this. I wanted to be the best. And at that point, we also had, we had kind of split training. So sometimes Dave Taylor would come in the ring and he would iron out a lot of the stuff that I was lacking.
Right.
Like the chain wrestling and all that, like just basics. Things that I never was trained properly with, as you recall from my earlier stories.
Yeah.
I never really had that basic training. So he was hammering that into me. So I was learning at like an accelerated rate, but also getting in better shape too. And then from there, it's just like things took a 180. And my relationship with Bill kind of fell apart. And I just sort of kind of became like the scapegoat for a lot of things. I felt that, there was like this nice guy, Bill, that I'd met, and then it was like, wow, I'm like suddenly on the set of Tough Enough, you know what I mean? Looking back at it now, I'm sort of happy that my time there was as unpleasant as it was, because had I had not had to persevere in that environment, I never would have been able to persevere in Japan, because things were much more difficult out there for me, being completely segregated, isolated.
Right.
I was all alone there in a foreign land with people that spoke a foreign language where I didn't know anything. And I was in a sink or swim environment where if I didn't have literally the match of the year, I was fired and I would go home. Whereas in WWE, it was like, yeah, you got to train hard. You're getting the shit beat out of you, literally. But you got a job either way. You're still going to collect a paycheck at the end of the week. If you show up, you got a job, or at least got X amount of years before they fire you or whatever, before you don't make the cut or before you get sent up. In that regard, it was like there's a lot more job security there, and there's a lot more chance of having like an anxiety attack showing up to Japan where it's like, oh my God, it's just me, and I either make the best of this, like in a big way, or that's it.
Right.
No more Japan forever. So I think if it wasn't the sort of emotional trauma that I hadn't faced, that I hadn't faced in Deep South Wrestling, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to do as well as I did in Japan. So for that, I'm actually very thankful for Bill's methods.